Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining another episode of Price on Purpose. Once again, my name is Stacy Price. I am the host of this awesome show, Price on Purpose. So if it's your first time joining, what's up? welcome. So, guys, oh my God, I had to be like here because I wanted to. That's first and foremost. But two, holy moly, it is December 29th, 2021. It is the last episode of Price on Purpose for this year. So I thought I would come down and just say thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for purchasing merch. Thank you for sharing the episodes. Thank you for liking it, loving it, telling your friends about it. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is because of my mission to help as many people as possible. I really should come up with a number. I think after the last episode, if you watch with oh my God, Fluckigan. It sounds like I'm cursing, but I gotta get his name. But he literally has a number on how many people he actually wants to help to discover themselves, live a more authentic lifestyle. He actually inspired me to want to come up with a number of how many people I really want to help with my show. And let me see. I gotta look at his name. Let me see. Flukiger, I know is his last name. Because there's nobody else with that name. Did you guys check last week's episode? If not, it is available on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio. It is on Spotify. It is also on YouTube. You can watch the most recent episode. It was, I had a great time interviewing him. He was very informative and he really helped me, and I hope he helped you too, to really connect with that divine side of you, because we all have it, but a lot of us don't really acknowledge it, and I think that's the thing. But once I come up with his name, I'll let you know. But I really did want to come here and just thank you for listening. I've done over 25 episodes this year. I've done more that I haven't even put out yet, so you'll see them in 2022. But the mission is the same: to help people that are going through, whether it's depression, anxiety, self-doubt, not knowing what their purpose is, all of those things. That is the whole point of Price on Purpose, is to help others find their purpose, but also to help others live a more authentic life. And I thought about, this year and everything that has happened with us as a society, with us as humanity, with us maybe individually too. I think with the way we sometimes see our world, we can sometimes be hopeless, and we need to hope more. And I know it can be hard when you're faced with challenges, whether it's with this whole pandemic, or whether it's with money or stress or uncertainty, whatever it is. Just know that there is another side to it, and your goal is to stick it out, and not necessarily, I think some people think you have to be positive all the time. You don't always have to be positive. It's about being optimistic. Optimism comes with saying, hey, I accept what's happening. I accept where I'm at. I'm in a state of acceptance, and I'm hopeful, but I know that things can go either way. Like, we don't know the outcome, and being okay with not knowing. I think that's what can help us during this time. And also to have an appreciation with people that feel differently than us. I was actually just on the other show. I hope you guys got to check that out, Spontaneity, that is live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. with Maria Daniels and myself. We were talking a little bit after the show and spoke about a few things. And I realized that I think we all have the right way to go about things, and that's totally fine. But your goal is to find out how it's going to work for you and just do the best you can. That's really all it is. Just do the best that you can. And it's okay if somebody disagrees. It's totally fine if somebody doesn't feel the way you do. Just understand that we are alike, but we have differences, but we don't have to force each other to do things that we don't want to do, if that makes any sense. So I hope that you guys are well. And I decided to come on and discuss what a lot of people tend to do during this time. And I think it's funny because I think we all can relate, or most of us can, I shouldn't assume. New Year's goals, New Year's resolutions, focuses, things that we're going to focus on for the next year, where we're going, if everything's staying the same, like what are we doing? All those questions that we don't really have the answers to, but we want them. I was thinking about it, and I think I've discussed this on the show before. Every year I always look up the statistics on New Year's resolutions and how many actually achieve them. And I read somewhere that over 90% of us set up a resolution or a goal for the upcoming year, but only 8 of us actually follow through with the goal. And I wondered, I said, why is that number so low with the conversion of us actually achieving what we want? And I thought about it. I said, well, let me think about myself. Like, what are some things that I have struggled with? I mean, in the past, I've thought about, my weight or my health or whatever it is. And I think sometimes what happens is we get distracted from the goal itself. Like, things happen. Life happens. I mean, I think we've seen it right now within the last 2 years. I'm sure a lot of people had a lot of plans, whether they're doing speaking engagements or getting together with family and friends, or they wanted to go somewhere, or a concert or dinner. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we realize that there are forces or other things that can dictate the outcome that's out of our control. And I think sometimes when that happens, when we have a focus of something that we're so like, oh my God, I'm going to do this right now, or oh my God, this is going to happen. And then something that we didn't plan for surprises us. It's like, I imagine somebody carrying like, the House of Cards, not the show on Netflix, but like, you remember like back in the day, like, I don't know if you guys did it. I didn't know how to play cards, like in the beginning. I really did not know what cards were for. I didn't know that you could play games. And then when I found out, I was like, okay, we're going to play Go Fish every time. And I thought I was gambling, but it's not gambling. It's kind of like solitaire. It has really no value, but it's fun, right? You get to look at the little people on the cards and whatever. And you get to learn how to shuffle, and you hear that satisfying sound when you shuffle. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, but okay, I remember now. Yeah, so I imagine our plans are like these cards, and we build them into houses, because that's what I used to do, right? Besides play Go Fish, I would play, I would build the card houses. You start out with the little triangle at the bottom, and you kind of like work your way up, right? So I imagine somebody carrying that on a piece of cardboard, and they're outside, and then they forgot that there's this thing called wind, right? So you go outside and you're like, well, it's not windy out, so I can get this house of cards from point A to point B, wherever it is. You're not walking too long. You're just going like next door, right? next door if you're like me, but not next door if you're like Maria. Anyway, so you're walking next door, and then all of a sudden a wind comes and just like knocks them all down. You're like, no, I spent like so much time putting these cards together to make this pretty house, and the wind just came out of nowhere. It just came out of nowhere, right? So I feel like that's what our goals are, or our New Year's resolutions. We plan it to a T. Like, we're going to do this and that and the fifth. And then something comes along unplanned, and it just dismantles the entire house. So what do we learn from that? One, they're cards, right? Now, not everything works in this way. I'm speaking about New Year's resolutions because I know there's some people out there like, well, something happened to my dog and my dog dies. All right, I'm not going to get morbid. Anyway, yeah, so sometimes we plan for things and it doesn't work out the way we intended it to. And when it comes to the House of Cards, we can actually rebuild it or find a new way to build it so it's more sturdy. So say you have your House of Cards, maybe glue them if you're not going to use the cards, obviously, again. Or put it inside of something where wind is not going. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to say is that through process, we learn. Through process, we learn. And just because it didn't work out the way we wanted it to doesn't mean that we're not supposed to start again. Like, we can achieve what we want, but it's by trying and learning along the way of what works and what doesn't, that we learn how to get from whatever our point A is to our point B. And I realized that with myself, with goal setting, I would usually set like something really crazy. Like, instead of me like just carrying the House of Cards from one point to another, I'm like, okay, we're going to build the biggest House of Cards. I'm going to walk from here to California. Now, that is just, it's realistic with good planning, okay? But with poor planning, it's not realistic. It's like, did you pack food? Do you have the right shoes? How many days is it going to be that you're like, is there something covering the cards? How are you balancing it? Is it sturdy? You know what I mean? Like, there's things that we need to look into before we do something like that. It doesn't mean it's impossible. That's the thing. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that you have to find a way so that you learn from trying that, oh, there's a better way to do this, or there's a more effective way to do this. So I think one of the number one New Year's resolutions or goals is like losing weight, or, I don't know, something healthy, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like, the thing is, sometimes when we set our goals, I think I wrote down a couple of things. We either lose track of them or we set them too big, right? Like, I know for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to write a book. Like, I really thought that writing a book was like, yeah, I'm just going to like let it fall out of my head, do a little revamp, and that's it. Because I blog every day. So I'm thinking it's going to be so easy. It's not that easy for me. Like, for some people it could be, but for me, no. Like, I actually have to plan out these things, and I realize like, oh, well, I can do it, but what is the process? Like, how do I do this? And am I connecting with other people that have done it? Like, a great way for weight loss or helping yourself live a healthier lifestyle is to buddy up with somebody that's done it, you know, or get help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. You know, I think sometimes we feel like we have to go at things alone. That's even something I'm learning, right? Like, with business or with my show or with writing a book, like, you can do these things. You can absolutely do it. It's not too late. I always like the quote, anything is possible as long as your heart is still beating. So I don't care if you're like 99, you can still write a book. It may not be physically the way you want to, depending on your status, but it can happen. And it starts with a start. Today, Marie and I were talking about like, oh, do you have a word for the year? I was like, a word for the year. Like I remember, oh my goodness, the names of my guests I'm forgetting. Oh, Dr. Jerome Butler that I had on the show a couple weeks ago. He has a word or a scripture for each month, So when Maria asked me for the year, I'm like, whoa, for the year? Like, it gave me new perspective because now I'm like, okay, for this year, what's the focus? Like, what are we doing? Are we just going to take it one day at a time? Yes, micro steps. But what's the point? What's the purpose? Why are we doing anything? That's something I always ask myself, like, what's the point of it? Like, when I started this show, like, what's the point? Like, why do you need to tell people what you learned? Why do you need to get people that live purpose to share their story of how they found purpose? Well, it's for people that have trouble finding purpose, or people that have trouble finding what their life's value is, because I remember being in that space. You know what I mean? So it starts with your why of your goal and what's the whole point? And most importantly, tracking your progress, because, all right, I might chuckle a little bit at this, but they usually say, if you measure it, it'll grow. Yeah. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is something that can be measured, okay? You're going to be more inclined to see progress because you're measuring it, okay? I'm like 12 years old. I'm sorry. It's just, that's a really funny quote. It's not a quote of my own, by the way. But yeah, if you can measure things, it usually helps to provide perspective. And that's the thing, is getting perspective. And you can see where you're at. Like if you are trying to lose weight or live a healthier lifestyle, what does that look like for you? I think a lot of us, we can go online and see what it looks like for a supermodel, or we can see what it looks like for an athlete, an Olympic athlete, or we can see what it looks like for a swimmer. But is that what it looks like for us? It's self-defined. It's about looking at what your specific achievements are and also making time to achieve them. I think with our goals, or when we set something, we put it out in the atmosphere, which is step one, right? Like we put it out there, like, yo, this year is going to be my year. Like I'm going to totally do XYZ and I don't want to hear nothing, like you have those people, and nothing wrong with that, but whatever. The thing is, when we put it out there, we forget the step of following through with it, or we set barriers in front of ourselves to follow through with it. There's this other book that I'm reading, and it's I forget the title. Look, you guys know me by now. I got things in my head, and there's certain things I don't have in my head. And when I speak, it's like I'm looking for the reference and I can't find it. But anyway, there's this great book, right? And this lady talks about how sometimes subconsciously we actually want to fail. Creepy, right? And we don't even realize it. Like we actually don't want something to work out. Like we do consciously, but that's the thing about the unconscious. It doesn't know left, right, up, down. It just knows is or is not. And is not does not mean it's a bad thing. And is doesn't mean it's a bad thing either. It just is. There's no, oh my goodness. It's just there. So that, whether it's something like that we may struggle with, where it's like subconsciously we don't want it to work. Here's what that looks like. So I know that's kind of like weird to even absorb, right? Like how could I possibly set a goal or intention to do something, but actually not want it to work? It's when you doubt. You add doubt to it. And it's not like it will. And even sometimes the most positive person can deep down want it to fail. And it's in those little tiny moments that come up where it's like, is this really possible? Can I do this? Is this for me? I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work. Like things like that. It's like there's a lot of power that has to be brought from the quote unquote unseen world. And that's what I mean by it's in your mind, unseen in your mind to the external world, right? Where it actually exists. Like I'm sure this phone, somebody had an idea, right? Somebody had an idea in their mind and said, what if? And then they took steps to answer, what if, then what? You know what I mean? So that's the thing. It's really connecting with what you want, why you want it, and how you want it done. I've been studying the works of Bob Proctor. Some of you may have heard of him, great motivational speaker and entrepreneur. And if you've heard of Bob Proctor, you've heard of Tony Robbins. If you've heard of Tony Robbins, you heard of Zig Ziglar, a lot of these great speakers, or Earl Nightingale. Bob Proctor, I think, worked with Earl Nightingale. If you've watched this show, you know I talk about Earl Nightingale a lot. But something that he mentioned, as I lose my train of thought. Oh, it's really about believe. Like, what does it look like? Like, what does it look like? Like some people, I used to be one of those people that be like, yo, I just want a lot of money. I just want this car. I just want this. I want. And there's nothing wrong with wanting, right? So when you go into 2022 or whatever year it's going to be, it's the same thing, right? You want something, but how are you going to get it? Like, is it a real thing for you? Is it real? Because if it's real, you can get it. You know, it's kind of funny because some people these days were like, you know, when they said you could be anything you want to be, that was a lie. It's not a lie. The thing is, it's a lie if you subconsciously don't want it, right? Because what does somebody that doesn't want something do? They don't go near it, right? Like, let's say you're afraid of dogs. Are you going to be like, oh my God, it's a great day for a dog park walk? No, you're not going to go there, right? So if you subconsciously don't want it to work out, you're going to operate in that frequency, but you don't even know that you are, right? And it's crazy because sometimes what we don't want, we actually attract it. It's weird. It's a weird space. I know, just hang in there. But what I'm saying really is, for your goals, not only write it down, but write down what it looks like. Make it real to you, meaning get it out of your head. Think about it this way. Think of how strong this force is with our minds, right? When we think about what we don't want, right? You're still speaking it into existence. Like, I don't want to be late, or I don't want to do this or that. That used to happen to me. I used to be like, tomorrow, I'm not going to be late. I'm not going to be late to work. I'm not going to be late. And you know what happened? I would oversleep. And I overslept because I already put myself in a state of anxiety, thinking that I didn't want to be late. And I ended up being late because I was thinking about not being late. You understand what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we focus on what we don't want and we get that because we're focusing on it. I know it's weird, but it happens. Think about it for a second, because you're going to sit there and be like, you know what? I wanted the chicken to be on sale. It wasn't on sale, but I knew it wasn't going to be on sale. It wasn't on sale. I knew it. I didn't want it to rain that day on the party. I didn't want it to rain. And then it rained. It happens when you focus on what you don't want. And the thing is, sometimes we spend too much space in the not. Like, I'm never going to lose weight. I don't have any time to exercise. I can't do this. You know what? I don't want that. I can't afford. That's like the worst thing to say. Don't ever say that. You know what I mean? Or I don't have it. I can't do it. The thing is, when you start that way, you're going to end that way. So it's about speaking specifically what you do want. Like some people like, I can't meet a man, or I can't meet the right woman. I can't do this. Everything's so hard for me. You're still speaking it into existence, even though you're saying like not having it. I hope I spent enough time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you like, let me know if you understand, like say yes. Like even if you're in your car or you're watching this live right now, just be like, yeah, I get it. I get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down, or type it in the chat. But yeah, so that's why it's so important to focus on what you do want. So for weight loss, or I want to work out more, the importance is micro goals, right? Doing small habits. There's a great book called Atomic Habits I mention all the time by James Clear. Check it out. I highly recommend it. It talks about habit forming and how to do these micro things, just little things to eventually get to the spot that you want to be in. So for example, you have a goal to live a more healthy lifestyle. First and foremost, you have to define, what does a healthy lifestyle look like for you? Like the real you, not the Olympic you. Because I know a lot of us be like, yo, in my mind, me and like Usain Bolt were buddies. And I get it, okay? Just understand, in the reality, like in your current state, you're sitting on the couch with the potato chips. All right, I'm joking. Let's say like you go to work every day, you're doing your thing. What does it really look like? Because you know you get up in the morning, you go to work. Like, where is the time that we're going to carve out to actually do what we need to do? Like, where is it? Is it in the morning? Are you more of a morning person? Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the evening? When? What do you see? Do you see moonlight? Do you see sunlight? Like, be very intentional and very specific about how this looks for you. Like, and what workout are you doing? I'm not saying, like, even if it is that you want to lift like 500 pounds by tomorrow, you have to work up to that. Like, say, because I love lifting heavy weights. Like, that's awesome. It feels good. But you can't just go and be like, go in a gym and not warm up and then go lift heavy. You can hurt yourself. So, like, what does it look like for you? Like, you got to start somewhere. But the thing is, if you don't start anywhere, you're never going to do it. And then every year you're going to set the same New Year's goal. Like, I'm going to work on being healthier, and we're going to be, stop it. Start with something small. So walk, like just get outside, just get outside, take the stairs, right? Do something like little tiny things, right? Or you know what? I usually have a soda with the burger. I'll still eat the burger, but I have juice, right? And then eventually you work to water, right? So start with little things, little tiny things. You know, I realize with like me and goal setting, it's not about what you subtract. It's about what you add. It's about what you're adding on. So like, I love popcorn, right? That's like my healthy but unhealthy snack. It's like not a lot of calories, but it's still like smothered in butter, right? Like I have that, but if I do, I make it like I attach another habit to it. It's like you eat the popcorn, you need to work out, right? So when I'm done here, I'm going to go work out. Like I'm going to get on that Peloton. Do light work, nothing crazy, light work. But yeah, like attach it to something like if this, then that, right? Start small. Yes, the long-term goal is you want to lose 30 pounds. I get it. But you can't lose 30 pounds in a week because in our brains, we're like, like 2 weeks because I saw Will Smith's documentary. It was just 10 pounds a week. That's Will Smith. He's got trainers. He's got people cooking for him. We may not all have that. Okay. Unless he wants to donate, that's a different story. But the thing is, it's starting small, because even with him, if you think about it, when you look at his story or what he did, he had help, right? I was just talking about that. You need help. So get an accountability partner. Be like, yo, every day at blah, blah, blah day, I'm going to work out. And sometimes it's okay if you get to that point where you're like, I want to work out, but how about this? Even a smaller goal. This was even in James Clear's book. Just show up at the gym. Don't even work out. Just show up at the gym. Just drive to the gym. This guy did that. He was just driving to the gym. Drive to the gym, stay there for 5 minutes and leave. And then eventually what he did was, not only did he drive to the gym, he got in, did 10 pull-ups, and then he left. And then he just kept on doing that. Because the thing is, a lot of these resolutions and goals, we don't achieve them because we don't show up for them. That's the key. We don't show up. We don't do it. Because think about it. I mentioned this before on the show. Every year, and it'll never change, every year the gym has a deal at the beginning of the year. And they'll probably waive the it's kind of like a cell phone, right? Think of yourself as a cell phone, because now the gym membership is we'll waive the activation fee for you. We're going to waive it, and we're going to give you a voucher. You're going to get a voucher, right? So that's what they do. It's the same thing every year. And it's the same thing every year because we're the same every year. That's think about it. It's business, right? You don't have to be part of that statistic. You really don't. You really don't. It starts with starting. But you have to show up for you. Think about, that's why the why is so important, because you have to do it for you, or what it means for you. Some people, they'll be like, what? They speak to the doctor. They're like, look, if you keep going at this rate with your cholesterol or whatever, blah, 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 and you're like, oh my God, I need to change. If that works for you, then do it. But still, small changes. Next thing, you have to be forgiving to yourself, because in your showing up process, there's going to be days where you're going to be like, who's not showing up today? It's me, right? You're not going to want to do it, because not every day do we feel like sunshine. Some days we feel like a rainstorm, right? It's going to happen where you're going to be like, I don't want to do this today. You saw it. If you saw Will Smith's mini documentary on YouTube, if not, I encourage you to check it out. But you saw, there was a moment where he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I really don't want to do this. And that's the thing. It's going to happen. It may. Not everybody it happens. Some people are like, yeah, I'm so good at executing. Just ignore it. That voice, let me tell you, there's nothing louder than a voice that says, don't work out today. Let me tell you, there is nothing louder than that voice. That voice be like, you could always do it tomorrow. I mean, okay, that voice is so, if you ever hear anything clear, is that voice is like, we're not going to the gym today. If you're that person. But I know it's happened to me. I've been like, you know what, today, I didn't really do this. So therefore, but it's going to happen. But it's about what we do in that moment, right? So you have to be forgiving. So even if that does happen for you, where you're like, you know what, I was today, I stopped. This is why documenting your progress is so important. This is why it's so important, because at least you could look at that calendar and be like, you know what, I showed up 3 days, or I showed up 1 day. I didn't show up 1 day last month. That's my progress. I did that. You know what I mean? It's progress for you, not compared to the gym rat. Because let me tell you, if you compare yourself to the gym rat, they're going to be like, you showed up 1 day for a workout and you think that's an achievement? You're like, yeah, I believe in myself finally. I can do this. They're like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? There's this great quote. I might screw it up, but if you guys know it, type it or let me know. It's like if you judge a goldfish based on how they climb a mountain, you're going to think they're an idiot, right? A goldfish cannot climb a mountain. It might look like it if the water's going up. But no, a goldfish cannot climb a mountain. That's the thing. It's the comparison of what we think it's supposed to look like and who we think we are in our minds that kind of deters us sometimes from achieving something, right? So this is not, your resolution or your goal is not to be compared with anyone. It's your goal. It's not, I should have had this by now. Diane has it by now. Barbara has it by now. No, stop it. No. Down. No, don't touch that. See, that's how I got to talk to y'all now. Don't do it. Your goal, it's about you. Where were you last time you benchmark this? Where were you? That's something I had to learn. I had to look and say, like, with my show, how many people are listening? How many people are sharing this episode? So if you share it, I appreciate it because I'm looking at that, right? Which episode is being shared? Why is it being shared? What's the difference? What do people need? What do they want? Like, and then I look at somebody else and they're like, yeah, it's so easy. I just go on and I just do this. And I'm just like, for a minute, like, it's going to happen because we're human. We go, how come they get, and stop it. No, don't do it. No. That's the thing. It's about you and you. You and you. So say I work out every day, right? And then you don't. It's not for you to be like, dang, well, Stacy shows up. Why can't I? You did show up. You did show up, right? You're thinking you did show up. You didn't execute, but you got to forgive yourself. Be like, look, okay, maybe I need to reevaluate. Is this the right goal for me? Is this, because sometimes your goals can change, right? Like, we see it all the time. Goals change real quick. They'd be like, oh, you, well, if you saw that most recent episode of Insecure, you'd be like, yeah, goals change real quick. I'm not going to spoil it. Anyway, just in case you didn't see it yet. But yeah, like, things change. Vision changes. But it's about the whole purpose that keeps it. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Like, what do you want to do with this, right? And most importantly, with documenting, being patient, having those micro goals, forgiving yourself, you got to make time. The thing is, it's about battling those times, or understanding, I should say, not necessarily battling, understanding the times where we go, not today. Like, it's understanding it. Like, for me, I had to realize some days where I didn't want to work out, I didn't work out because I wanted to be comfortable in that moment. And let me tell you, sometimes staying in bed is really, really comfortable. It's great. You have a computer in your hands called a cell phone, and you get to swipe at little videos where there's like a Grinch, and there's just like, videos of people cooking stuff. And yeah, it gets really comfortable with the cell phone. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. And then sometimes I'm like, I'll get up in 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes becomes 10, and then 10 becomes 15. And then sometimes 15 becomes like 2 hours, right? No judgment, right? But that's the thing. Sometimes we get distracted. The thing is, it's about, for me, to show up for me, it takes reminding myself why I'm doing it, right? Like, every Wednesday putting out a show, why am I doing it? What's the whole point? Oh, because somebody could be going through seasonal depression right now, or somebody could have lost a loved one due to this pandemic, or someone could have lost a family member, or somebody could have lost their job, or somebody could be feeling suicidal right now and they need something that's going to give them hope, or give them a reason to be like, I never thought about it like that. Maybe I can. That's what I think about, right? And I'm like, I can't not show up, you know? If it is your health or a monetary goal, or you just want to read more, or whatever it is, it starts with these steps, right? And it's repetitiveness of the steps. That is what discipline is. It's doing something over and over again and showing up. And nobody said it was going to be easy. It does get easier sometimes because you're in the habit and the repetition of it, but you're not going to know it unless you start. That's the thing. You have to start. So for this year, I don't care if you're like, yo, throw the whole year away, like throw it away. Like, I don't care if you're like that. My thing, or I hope, is that you look at the year and you look at why you're saying it. Or even if you're like, oh my God, this was the best year ever. What made it that way? Like, take that moment to reflect. Like, there's nothing wrong with reflecting, right? We use mirrors, hopefully. You need to make sure you're good. But yeah, like, take a moment to look back and see where you can improve, or see what you can keep, or see what you're like, you know what, that doesn't serve me anymore. Toss it. Like, whatever it is, I hope that you look at it and applaud yourself. Like, even if there's a goal that you didn't achieve, that you wanted to achieve this year, I hope that you look at it and say, you know what, maybe it didn't happen this year. When will it happen? Let's try again. Like, say, praise God that I get to try again, because not everybody gets to try again. Sometimes it's like one of those things where it's like, yo, it's done, right? That's what optimism is. Like, maybe I didn't achieve it, but don't beat yourself up about it. Like, take the time to be like, look, it didn't work out this year. Now I get to see why. Now I get to look at the data. Now I get to be like, you know what? Maybe I didn't show up. Let me just focus on showing up. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if it's that you're going to read, you know what I used to do? To read more, I would carry books with me. So I would take one book and I would just walk with it. Like, everywhere I went, whether it was to the bathroom. I know you're going to be like, ew, gross, unsanitary. Bathroom, work, school, grocery store, driving. I would just carry the book with me. Wasn't reading it, carried it. And what would start to happen, sometimes people are like, yo, what you reading? Oh, it's this book so-and-so. I didn't even start reading it yet. I'm going to read it like soon, right? But it's with you. It's like, it's a part of you now. It's a part of you. Yeah, but just having it there, people asked me about it, and I realized I was carrying it around. I'm like, I might as well just like start reading it. And eventually I read it. I started doing that with a couple more books. I started downloading books on my phone. That's the thing. Once you find something you love, or you find the why of it, it makes it important. We give things importance, whether it's our lives, our jobs, our purpose. We give it importance. And it becomes important with daily practice, or however many times we practice it. And the fact that we share it with others and the value it has to others, that's what importance is. So I hope that no matter how this year was for you, I wish you guys all an amazing new year. And I really encourage you to check out the episodes of Price on Purpose on pretty much almost anywhere you listen to your podcasts. If there's a space where you're like, yo, Stace, I use this app and your podcast isn't there, so that's why I didn't listen to it, let me know what the app is. I would love to get the podcast to you. Or just like hit me up. I'm like, yo, every time an episode comes out, I'll email you. I'll just send it to you, right? Or, make sure you follow me on social media. It's at Price on Purpose. So wait, hold on. Oh. Right here. You see that? Just like at Price on Purpose, that whole thing. Okay. And of course, you can download the episode. So if you're in an area where you don't get good cell phone service all the time, you could download the episode on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, Spotify. You can download the episode. Also on SoundCloud, you could download the episode and you can carry it with you. I'll be in your pocket. So lots of great stories on there. Lots of thought-provoking conversations. So I encourage you to check it out. And of course, you could purchase Price on Purpose merchandise now to help support the show. Of course, it's weird. Sometimes people don't know that a podcast costs dollars to run. I know it looks easy. I know it does. Parts of it is easy. Not all of it. So I would appreciate it if you help support the show and help me to have the ability to share this message with more and more people. Of course, I always appreciate when you like, love, and share the episode with your friends. So if you click the little share button, I really appreciate it. And leave a podcast review. Of course, reviews. Think about your local restaurant. You know, you'd be like, oh my God, the service was amazing. Or, oh my God, the service was... Reviews help. So I hope that the episode made you think. I hope this episode gave you perspective of how to set more clear goals. And even myself, my goal is to write a book and to change my environment. Those are two top goals that I have for this year. And I realize that I will achieve them. And it's about the steps. It's about the steps that you take. And the practice of understanding. I'll leave you with this quote. More like a story in a sense. I said it earlier today. So if you saw spontaneity, you can be like, you said that already. But so Bob Proctor was talking about the hourglass. Now I got to get one just for like the visual reminder. So an hourglass, pretty much, it's an hourglass shape. Yeah, I'm not good with describing it. Anyway, so it has a sand, little sand timer. You be like, all right, we gonna start in 3, 2, 1. You flip it over and the sand's like falling down, right? So he said, at the top of the hourglass, if we cover it, right? That is the future. We actually don't know how much sand is up there. We don't know. We can see the sand falling at the bottom because the sand at the bottom is the past. And we can see the past, like you and I right now. Like, we are our future selves. We could see the past. We didn't even know if we would be here at this time. We assumed, but at the end of the day, we didn't know. The moments that are in the middle of that hourglass is the now. And that is the most precious time. So the thing is, we don't know we don't know when the sand is going to run out. So I encourage you to start whatever it is that you need to start today. And when you're ready, don't ever stop. Keep going. Don't let anyone or anything stand in your way. And make sure you do it for the right reasons for you. So guys, once again, my name is Stacey Price. I want to thank you so much for watching the final episode of 2021 for Price on Purpose. Of course, you could follow me on all social media like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It's at Price on Purpose. And you can catch me here on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And Happy New Year. I wish you guys the best. Stay healthy. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Goodbye.